With that down, let's get this day started with some really, I'm not going to bury the lead, crappy news on several fronts. First of all, ABC News has reported that Buffy and Gossip Girl actress Michelle Trachtenberg has died at the age of 39. It says the actress best known for her roles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gossip Girl has died at the age of 39. She was found dead Wednesday in her New York City apartment near Columbus Circle just after 8 a.m. local time by her mother. They're saying she died as a result of complications to a recent liver transplant that she just got, and the police are not considering any foul play at all. They said this was natural causes, probably as a result of this. Like a lot of people, now I was more of an Angel guy, I admit, but like a lot of people, I mean, I first got note of her. It was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was Buffy's little sister.
She's Dawn.
And she actually managed to go on to still make a career for herself. Like a lot of kids, when they get famous that young, they don't. They're not able to do something. And I can't help but really feel an extra dose of tragedy to this for her story. Because you guys know that just recently Sarah Michelle Gellar's been talking about they're going to be doing a Buffy revival. Mm-hmm. And while I haven't heard anything confirming this, I just assumed she would probably going to be a part of that as well. I never did watch Gossip Girl, so that one, I know there's a lot of people I was reading from today who are big Gossip Girl fans who are really lamenting this. Age of 39, still so young. What a tragic thing. Again, especially when it looked like she might have been poised for another resurgence at this point. Anyway, and for her mother to find her. I mean, I cannot imagine. I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but I don't think I've ever imagined anything worse than a parent losing a child. I can't even fathom it. It's so outside of the realm of what I'm thinking about. So anyway, Chris, obviously very familiar with her work. You're quoting some of her other movies a little bit
Harriet
earlier.
the Spy.
Yeah, I mean,
She was Harriet.
What's your reaction to this?
Oh, this is so upsetting. I loved her as a kid. Oh my gosh, Harriet the Spy. I made my parents get me that VHS and I watched it over and over again. I loved it so much. She was so great in Buffy. She was so great in all of the things she went on to do after. I really enjoyed her. And oh my gosh, did all of my guy friends have crushes on her. She was a wonderful actress. She seemed so lovely. And this is also why, you know, about a year ago, she was dealing with online bullying of people talking about how she looked sickly. Guess what? She was ill. And this is one of those reminders too of everyone is going through something that you don't know about. So probably choose to be kind on the internet or keep things to yourself. You never know what anyone's going through. And 39, I mean, she's just a few years older than me. That is so devastating. And finding a family member incapacitated is something that I've experienced, and it's a very terrifying feeling. So to find your own daughter just passed away in her own home, that is so scary and so horrible. And I hope her family is doing well and that they're getting the privacy that they need at this time and that they all can just try to heal from this. This is so sad. Just, you know, complications from surgery. You never know what's going to happen. That's so scary.
Somebody in the live chat reminded me of this. I totally forgot. She was Penny in the Inspector Gadget live action movie. I totally forgot about that. Anyway, Rob, you're just hearing this news now. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's sad. And again, I was a huge Buffy fan, and that's where I first saw her. I saw a few episodes of Gossip Girl, but you know, whenever somebody dies that's left, it's a weird thing. And now in our internet age, a lot of us do this. We leave a footprint behind us.
Yeah.
When we're gone, and at least people, you know, 100 years ago, they didn't have what we have now. And at least she's left a body of work that will be rediscovered. I mean, with a Buffy revival happening, a lot of people are going to go back and rediscover the original shows. So they'll see her work again. And she was even in the Gossip Girl revival. Mm-hmm. Not very long, not much of it, but she was in the Gossip Girl revival. It's just sad. It's sad when, you know, anybody dies at such a young age. And especially after undergoing long-term health complications.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, it's terrible news to wake up to. Guys, what are your favorite memories of Michelle's career? Were you a big Buffy person? Maybe you were a New Girl person. Maybe, like me, you remember Inspector Gadget fondly, and a lot of Eurotrip, like a lot of other things she did. Whatever you guys think about this whole thing and how you're feeling, let us know down in the comments section below. All right, guys. Unfortunately, we need to continue with the bad news. Hollywood producer and writer who brought us the first Transformers movie, rebirthing Star Trek with J.J. Abrams, Roberto Orci, has passed away at the age of 51 as a result of complications of kidney disease. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline, who wrote the following. Born and raised in Mexico City, Orci moved to the United States with his family when he was 10. He started off as a writer-producer on Xena, Warrior Princess, and Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and for most of his career was partnered with Alex Kurtzman. Orci was a co-writer-producer on the 2009 Star Trek movie reboot, which, if I'm going to be honest, is the reason I'm a Star Trek fan today, is because of that movie. Reboot and its two sequels, as well as the 2007 Transformers movie, which was the only good one before Bumblebee came around, and the 2009 follow-up Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Orci's feature credits also include work on Mission Impossible 3, The Legend of Zorro, and producing the Now You See Me franchise, which is about to get a new movie, The Proposal, Eagle Eye, and The Mummy. Yeah, I was kind of mentioning this earlier, and I could hear Rob audibly sigh, but like I remember when one of the longest standing things for me when I was back at doing stuff at AMC, and they announced they were doing a new Star Trek movie for about a year and a half leading up to that movie. And I remember having a good conversation with Roberto Orci about this. I admitted this for a good year and a half on my channel. I talked about how let that rotting corpse known as Star Trek let it just deteriorate and die. How dare you? But it was by, at the time, it was by every definition, a dead franchise.
Yeah, all the Next Generation movies were not doing well. So
yeah, I mean, and here's the main thing: like when a living organism stops producing new cells, that means it is now in decay and it's dying. Star Trek up to that point was their fan base was literally, not literally dying off and not being replaced with new fans at the time. Star Trek back in that era was not generating brand new fandom. And it was a dying franchise. And I said, it's a stupid idea to do this movie and all this kind of stuff. And whatever side of the spectrum you fall on with the 2009 Star Trek relaunch, it reignited a new interest in Star Trek. It got me into it, turned me around and made me a Star Trek fan again. And obviously, he was part of the reason that Transformers came. I loved the first Transformers movie, not so much any of the rest of them until Bumblebee came around. Mm-hmm. And I was particularly honored that Roberto then became, back when I was starting to do the Masters of the Web stuff at Comic-Con that I did every year, he was on my first panel. The first time I was putting it together, him and Edgar Wright together came and did my panel, and I had the opportunity. Then he came back the next year and just dropped in on me unexpectedly, and he did some stuff. He was a really nice guy. Now, his life had some controversy at the same time that I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention. Like he filed for divorce from his wife, got a restraining order against her, and filed a lawsuit against her. After that, she filed lawsuits against him and stuff like that, and it really got all messy. And after that, he kind of quietly disappeared. And I never even knew, I haven't talked to Roberto in years, to be honest with you, but I didn't even know he was struggling with illness or sickness. So it was with great shock and surprise that I saw the news that he had passed away. Again, I'm not going to pretend like I knew him well personally. I did not, but the opportunities and the times that I got to hang out with him and that he came and participated in my stuff at Comic-Con, he was always incredibly funny. He was always incredibly generous. He was very self-deferential in his self-depreciating in his own humor. He was just a really nice guy to be around. And again, when you look back at some of the pop cultural pillars that he's gotten the opportunity to be a part of, Xena, Hercules, Transformers, Star Trek. I mean, he got to live big And I was really, really saddened to hear about his passing. Anyway, Chris, you heard about the passing of Robert Orci. Your first thoughts?
Oh man, sad day. A lot of
Yeah.
loss today. I was a really big fan of the first 2 seasons of Sleepy Hollow, which he was part of.
I really liked that
show.
show.
I
not
loved
the
that
not
show.
the ending of it.
It
but yeah.
took a turn, but the beginning of it was fantastic, and a lot of that just had to do with some casting issues and stuff like that. Is why they had to pivot. But the start of that show was excellent. I mean, he also helped out on Fringe.
I like Fringe.
Oh,
Fringe
was so good.
fun, so interesting. The Proposal. I had to try to do my best Ryan Reynolds to camera on it. Worked on that as well. I mean, just a whole bunch of really fantastic projects underneath him. It's just always sad when you lose creative people. And again, so young, 51.
Yeah.
That's barely anything. Gosh.
Hey,
rough
Rob,
day.
your first reaction when you heard about?
Well,
passing Robert?
I too met him. He was Courtney Ford's brother, and Courtney Ford was Brandon Routh's wife.
Right.
And at their wedding, I was there shooting their wedding, and I talked to him at length because it was before Star Trek, but I knew he was doing Star Trek, and he was a dyed-in-the-wool Star Trek fan. And I remember talking with him about the Star Trek novel Prime Directive, and he was like, man, I'd love to adapt that book. And I said, it'd be amazing. But he told me, and he made a great point. He said, look, you can't adapt that book until you've done multiple movies with the cast because it would come later. I said, yeah, because it's the end of the Enterprise's 5-year mission. And he goes, yeah, but it would be great to do it. And he, like you said, he was warm and generous and very, very smart. And he was a true dyed-in-the-wool fan, and he really knew his Star Trek. So it's too bad, 51, man.
Yeah, like really, especially since I never even heard that he was ill. Like maybe it was public knowledge, but I didn't know. Anyway, guys, question is for you. When you look back on the resume of Roberto Orci and some of the great stuff he got to be involved in, what was the stuff that stands out to you the most? Whatever it was, jump down in the comments below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.